Happy Mother's Day. The Average Joe's Sports Show Sunday Live is here. That is Bill Doleman, Gary Sharp, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. And we are here to talk TV moms. We'll get to some sports as well. But we want your draft picks for the best TV moms out there. And we can kind of go around, fellas, and jump into the stream. Always like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show on YouTube. Also on Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. And find us on Spotify and iTunes. I was able to dirty some reservations throughout the week. I've been trying to find a spot that would not only seat me, but my lovely mother. So we got it handled. Now, it was frowned upon in church to be texting during church, but it was for a good reason.
Oh, gotcha.
It wasn't the bookie.
That'll come in the fall.
Yeah, right. The old Homer Simpson. You know, you're 4 rows in, and you're wondering if that kick's going to make it. How are we doing this morning, Bill? What's up, man?
Doing very well. Enjoying this, typical seasonal Nebraska weather. Which, for those who are just visiting, this is the way it is pretty much year round. Beautiful 50s in the morning, low 80s during the day. So I can see why Trey Taylor and all the Miami guys, commit to Nebraska. So that's good.
Here's my hot take. I much prefer this weather to wintertime, but I prefer like 75. Once you get up to like 85, I'm a big guy. I have Scandinavian blood in me. I'm gonna start sweating, No, you don't. Above 75 is sometimes a little much for me. I need a nice breeze. Can we get a nice northern breeze, cool things off a little bit, maybe while it's 85? I don't know.
If you prepare for it during the winter, you're okay in the summer. That's how I look at it.
Crank it up.
Hey, but this weather, Bill, is why they refer to Lincoln as the San Diego of the Big Ten.
You are not wrong, my friend. We're working on 5 straight days of minimal wind and gorgeous tea times.
Yeah.
So we'll dive in. It's been a good weekend for Nebraska baseball. They get a chance to sweep here in a little bit against Michigan. Some heroics yesterday. Those arms have been ready. We'll touch on Nebraska baseball, get you set up for the finale. Husker softball, where did they land coming up? And I want to talk top 6 because it looks like things are trending that way with undoing the conference championship games. Yes. And you're going to have your play-in games. Yes. And I love this. Yes. I love this idea. Just a football cornucopia here that first Saturday in December, guys. So we can spin the wheel. And again, I love it. Vic Blaze off the top rope early with best TV moms. Taya Leone. Yes. Madam Secretary. And my wife, the bunny, kind of looks like Taya Leone. A little bit.
Well done.
Blonde hair and blue eyes. No kidding. Well done. Keep that money on the dresser, But, let's get into college football before baseball for a second. This is not a bad thing. Now, you have the SEC and the Big Ten. You've got the SEC begrudgingly. Think about when mom grabbed your ear and drug you wherever she drug you. That's what's happening with the SEC in 9 conference games. Nothing's official, but looks like it's trending that way. And guys, what do you think here? The play-in weekend versus the conference championship game, they got to supplement that income because that's why you've had championship games going all the way back to Florida, Bama in 92.
I love it. I think, if you can do 16 where there's no buys, there are more home playoff games, and you open up the possibility. I think this is the one which sealed it for me, is that we would do away with the Big Ten and SEC championship games, and you would play 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, a home game that championship weekend. And so you have some stakes on the line where that 5th and 6th team, which most years would be out, they still have hope. And even if they lose that game, they could possibly be one of the 3 at-larges. So I like that aspect because I mean, conference championship games now, the way they're set up, you're almost better of just getting in, getting out, don't get anybody injured, or saying, you know what, maybe we don't want to play on it. But I think we're trending this way. But the championship weekend, I really, really like, because remember the idea during the COVID year that Barry Alvarez had about Champions Weekend?
Yeah.
Which ended up being Nebraska and Rutgers. There were a couple other games, but COVID kind of wrecks them. I thought that was kind of unique. It was kind of fun. An extra game, a new opponent that he had not played. So I like the idea of the championship game. Instead of being 1 versus 2 is 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. And you have the top 2 get in, the winners of those 2 get in. And then maybe the loser of one of those games, if it's a 3 or 4, they get in as well.
But I wonder how long this has been in the works. You know, it just seems like there has to have been some master plan. Maybe it goes back to 2020. Maybe it goes back further than that. But to think that, okay, we're going to see how this playoff works with 4 teams for a while, and there was a clamor for it to expand. They jumped 8 to go to 12, which never makes any sense to me when you have, you know, not a full bracket. When you've got buys, it just doesn't make any sense at all. And then when you had the seeding that we had this past year in college football, that didn't make any sense either. But I just wonder if this has been like we've gone through plan A, plan B, D, now we're like at GHI, somewhere in there where, all right, now let's talk about ditching these conference championship games, which have really lost meaning. You know, especially in basketball, we all know that in basketball, those teams that are going for the national championship, they're tanking. They could probably care less unless it's Duke, Carolina, and the ACC. But for the most part, teams in basketball just go through the motions because they know they're going to go to the big dance. Now, in football, instead of allowing that to fester and grow roots, let's do away with them and go into whatever this plan is that they have now. I'm all for 16. But it seems like this has been something that's probably been in the works for a while.
And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, I have the standings pulled up, and it would be, if this had been in effect last year, it would have been, I think, Indiana against Iowa, and then Ohio State against Illinois would have been your play-in games, which
That'd have been awesome.
That would have been good.
Would have been pretty fun. The question I do have, though, is like, do you want your teams playing more games? Like, do we think Ohio State got an advantage because they didn't have to play in a Big Ten championship game? They got to kick their feet up, get themselves healthy. And then also they didn't have to deal with a bye week in the college football playoff, which we saw in the rest versus rust debate. I think rust was the big theme last year with the teams that got a bye week. So was it advantageous to Ohio State that they got to kick their feet up early in December, and then they got to play their college football playoff games, and they got to go straight through? It wasn't a bye week situation. It was a rust situation. Could you be disadvantaging your teams in the playoff by making them play an extra game? That's possible, but at the end of the day, TV dollars rule the roost, and I think this will be good for the TV partners. It'll be good for the fans. Everyone will enjoy it. I just wonder if it'll put you at a slight disadvantage in a potential playoff if you're having all your teams that go into the playoff play an extra game.
This is to get in, right? If you're 5, 4, 5, 6, this gets you in. Your top 3, your top 4 are going to qualify, and the winner of the play-in gets in with your 4 automatic bids. So while Ohio State absolutely had an advantage not playing in the Big Ten title game, they had a horrible taste in their mouth, and they were geared up and ready to go for that opening round ball game against Tennessee. So I think this is fantastic. It opens the window. It continues to make the regular season matter based on your standings with no divisions anymore, right? So, and I think that the trend is to have your AFC, NFC championship type deal, and then your college football playoff. I mean, that's the model here, where if you're going to expand the playoff, that's fine. Meanwhile, you've got the Big 12 and the ACC that are still capped at 2, and you've got your 3 at-larges, which still puts in play potentially the loser of your play-in games if they've had a good enough season, if they've got a good enough conference or a non-conference win. That could be a variable you look at. So that'll help keep things hopefully in play for better non-conference, interconference games in September that have been going away in college football. Now, this makes a ton of sense. I think hosting would be great, but to me, give me a couple of neutral sites. Make one of the play-in games in Vegas, make the other Indy, rotate it, figure it out, go to Big Ten cities. It can be outdoors as well. But as much as I like having folks roll into Nebraska, i.e. Lincoln, for ball games, I think the neutral site would be, we could hammer out a couple of spots, don't you think? Vegas and Indy to be your play-in game options.
Yeah, I think that's I wonder, and I would like that idea. That would be, makes sense. But I wonder if, like, the caveat to get more people behind it would be that you get a home game, because there would be revenue there for you if you earn that. Because more than likely, well, not more than likely, if you're if you're the third or fourth team in the Big Ten, do you get a chance to get 2 home games possibly?
That's good.
I think we try and make the regular season mean as much as possible.
Well, and to add to that as well, I think if I was the team that finished third in the Big Ten in a normal year, you'd get your auto bid, or not your auto bid, your at-large bid to a college football playoff before this system were to come about. And if you're going to now make me go and play the team that finished 6th in the Big Ten, I would want every advantage I can get in order to agree to this. I'd be like, hey, I finished 3rd in the Big Ten. That should get me into the playoff. Now you're going to make me go and play another game. At least give me a home field to give me the advantage. I think you should give your teams that finished 3rd and 4th the advantage in a one-off game to go get into the playoff, because when we see it, the 3rd team in the Big Ten deserves to get into the college football playoff as of right now. So if I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can finish 3rd in the Big Ten next year, give me that advantage in a play-in game in order to get into the playoffs.
Look, Schmidt has not been to Las Vegas ever, which is the biggest upset of all time.
That changes. That changes in July.
He's just looking for as many opportunities and reasons to go there to make up for lost time as possible. You're done with Indy, I know that, but you want to go to Vegas as often as you possibly can at this stage of life, which to me, again, is stunning that you, of all people, have not been out there.
That is wild.
The degenerate of all degenerates has not been to Vegas. I know. But once I had to do the KFOR morning show outside of Lucas Oil because they wouldn't let people in. So that's it. Called my friends at the Big Ten and they're changing this bastard out. We're going to Vegas. So there we have it. I think the opportunity with this expansion to 16 and your 3 at-larges on top of your top 2 in the Big 12, your top 2 in the ACC, your 4 in the SEC, 4 in the Big 10, your Notre Dame. I mean, I think you've got a great shot some years if you play your cards right with your non-conference and just dominance or have a good record. Big 10 could see 5. Right now, they're going to be guaranteed 4, but they could see 5 if they play it the right way. And you had a whole slew, right? A 9-3 squads last year complaining that they didn't get in. You had people pointing the finger at Indiana's schedule. And what kind of ruled the day for the Big Ten was not only Indiana's record, but the fact that you only have 8 conference games in the SEC. This is also the leverage to get them to 9. Make it uniform. If you're going to get auto bids, you got to go to 9 conference games. It's good inventory, and it sounds like ESPN's going to pony up. Husker baseball, fellas, and we need more of the best mothers from TV to celebrate this Mother's Day. Thumbs up, thumbs down on Kitty Foreman from that 70s show.
Ooh. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't take her over what's her name? Lois from Malcolm in the Middle.
Okay. I mean, Claire is kind of my favorite. Julie Bowen from
Modern Family.
Family, but from Happy Gilmore's era. Now, here's a question I have.
Well,
would you draft Claire over Sofia Vergara?
Okay, we need a qualification on this.
That's my question.
Is this TV mom that you'd want to be your mom growing up? Or
no, I'm just saying.
Want to marry
or to be your stepmom.
Okay, or I think what Elijah's getting at, is this the mom that you would bring home to mom?
That's true. Thank you.
Okay, so probably if you're looking to get permission from mom to have somebody sleep over, Marion Cunningham is not the person.
Right.
from Happy Days.
Okay.
Depending what mood old June Cleaver's in.
Or I don't know what you guys' preference is. Maybe Estelle Getty from Golden Girls, if you like Sophia.
Sophia had put her cigarette out on you, I think.
I mean, I think always at these discussions are, you can't go wrong with Carol Brady. And it appeared that Carol was pretty flexible. And then Claire Huxtable.
Yeah.
Because she was an attorney. She was a mother of 5. I mean, she was
survived
a wife
all
to a
those
doctor.
years without getting knocked out.
Or sexually harassed.
Yeah. I mean, no, I think because
it's the intangibles.
Right, Claire's a good call.
Like it's also like what do you want? Like, do you want a June Cleaver? Okay. Or do you want Tammy Taylor from Friday Night Lights?
Nice call. Yeah. Where do we rule on Peg Bundy?
I think it would take a certain kind of husband.
She's probably an 8 or 9 seed, I suppose.
Yeah. But it's fair to say that Claire from Modern Family, I think she's a 1 or 2 seed, isn't she?
Oh, I think Julie Bowen is wonderful. Cool. Yes. Yeah. Yes. What about now? Can we put Mandy Moore into this? I don't know if you guys watched when it was on NBC, This Is Us. She was Rebecca Pearson.
Too dramatic. Yeah, that was too dramatic for me to get into. So
yeah, it was a little bit sad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll throw out an Elise Keaton, Family Ties, Meredith Baxter.
Yeah, that's fair. How about the chick from what's it called?
The chick.
Well, no, the Sieverts, that family. Growing pains.
Growing pains. Yeah. Joanna something.
Yeah. I think Keaton family, weren't the parents both dirty hippies?
Yeah. I mean, they were born in that era. Mm-hmm. Somebody is asking if Marge Simpson is eligible for this.
Yeah. I think the most patient and kind woman on TV when it comes to mothers is probably Cartman's mom.
See, that's the kind of mom I think you'd want to have,
Sweet and caring and just making the kid work on type 2. I mean, yeah.
I just throw out
David Jenner comes in with Shirley Jones. So that's old school. Partridge Family.
Yeah. I haven't.
The boss played the keyboard. No, she didn't play the keyboards. What'd she play?
Charles is going with Sophia over Julie. That's the real debate. Sophia just think over Julie Bowen.
If she was your mom, you'd take her to show and tell every day of the week.
Yes, you would. GPA'd be 4.0, baby.
Have you met my mom? This is my mom. You jealous?
Yes. We'll get our starting 5 shout-outs here going on. Sunday edition here, the Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show. Gary Sharp, Bill Doleman, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. And happy birthday to all the moms out there. But, yes, happy Mother's Day as well. Your business can go under Bill Doleman or any of our Twitter handles if you like. And Elijah Herbel.
You can sponsor us like race car drivers.
Yes. Yeah. Product placement for sure. So we talked a little college football playoff, liked that. Let's get into Husker baseball. Big one to try and sweep Michigan. I didn't quite know how I was feeling with Nebraska going in. Tough outing against Creighton, of course. And Nebraska bounced back. They got it handled Friday night. I loved what Timmerman brought. But what I was impressed with yesterday, not only Ty Horn's outing, he's really pitched well down the stretch. But how about Will Walsh, fellas? Yes. Being able to respond after a tough midweek, after kind of getting demoted to the bullpen from being your Friday night guy. Fist bump to Will Walsh going 2 1/3, 7 batters, 7 outs. Was just big time for Nebraska. You got to love that competitiveness, and the response.
I think Will Walsh we got a 500 baseball team we're talking about here.
Game over. 500.
I think he has been their MVP because they've asked him to do so and it's collective over the last couple of years. They've asked him to do so many different things for that team, play in the field, start, midweek starter, reliever, long relief, close. And, he's done everything and done everything above serviceably. I just am impressed at what he's done whenever he's been asked to do something. And when McConaughey went down, I think I mentioned then that he was probably going to have to be their Saturday guy. That hasn't turned out that way. But everything they've asked Will Walsh to do over the last couple of years, he's really answered it. And I think he's done a terrific job. And he's a reason why they could finish in the top 8. They're like a game out of 7th in the Big Ten standings.
Mm-hmm.
That's stunning.
Yep.
He's good. Go ahead.
They're I think making the decision to keep Horn on Saturday and Brockett today and have Will Walsh as your swing guy, but move Timmerman to Friday night because you look at Will's best teams. They've always had a dog that is pitching on Friday night, whether it be a Povich or a Sears. Mm-hmm. And they had that guy McConaughey, and he goes down. And Walsh is going to throw strikes for the most part, but is he that dog that's going to miss bats? And I think they have found that guy in Timmerman, late in the season when he's healthy and he's back, and that's a great story. I don't know. They're a team that we kind of talked about this yesterday. They could go 2 in the queue in Omaha, or would it surprise you? Let's see, 2 weeks from now, they're playing on Sunday in Omaha for a chance to go back to the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's how weird this season is.
They've won 4 straight series, haven't they, or something like that in the Big Ten?
Yeah, but it's the first time they've won a Friday night game in a series. Yeah. Well, they're now 2-7 on Friday nights, I think.
They were going in at 1-7. Yeah. But now let me ask you this. Does this give you some hope, or are you still just you don't know what's next? Barring today, you've won the series. That's great. Do you feel a little safer with this team that they could actually catch some fire in Omaha? I mean, they've been so up and down. I'm not asking you to be right with your prediction. I just don't know how to feel about the baseball team if I'm a Nebraska baseball fan, because they've shown the ability for sure, but they've not shown the consistency.
And I look at the pitching. The hitting's come around. They're hitting the ball like we expected them to make a postseason run in baseball, especially in the Big Ten. Like the Big Ten tournament's going to be tough. A regional is going to be tough. Once you start getting a little deeper, this change like a super regional. But I'd say to make it through a Big Ten tournament or through a regional, you probably need 3.5 trusted arms that you can go out there and start a baseball game with. And then another 3 guys out of the bullpen that you say, when this guy's on the bump, we trust him. I think Nebraska might have that number now. I think Tucker Timmerman's a guy that you trust to go out, and this might be early, but we talk about the dog factor. I think he's the type of guy you'd love to throw out there first in a Big Ten tournament or in a regional and kind of set the tone for what your baseball team is going to do in said tournament. Ty Horn's been playing good baseball. Brockett might not go as deep into his start, but I think you love what you get from him from 4 innings. For the most part, Christo's a guy that comes in and throws strikes. I like what Luke Broderick has been doing on the back end. Like Nebraska's, I think, close to having enough arms where I think, they got enough arms to make a run in a tournament format, whether it be the Big Ten tournament or a regional. The bats are there. What I'm seeing recently from this baseball team shows me I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run in any tournament, just because I think they finally have enough arms that you feel confident in to throw out there in a close ball game. That's kind of how I'm feeling about this team. And I love, as Schmidt said, or as Bill said, the Will Walsh factor now being a bullpen guy. I think that's a big factor for you. If you can trust him out of that, and he looked good yesterday, I need to see a little bit more from him coming out of the bullpen, because that's a tough adjustment to make from being the guy who's starting in the first inning in a 0-0 game to being the guy that it's no longer your game. You got to come in and just get a couple outs. That's a mental change you got to have. I feel good about what he can bring you out of the bullpen as well. You might have enough arms now to make a run in a postseason format.
Well, I mean, you've got a guy that has started, and the last outing. Can you get Iowa Friday? Will Walsh, if he's got to go spot duty and start for you, if he's going to be a bullpen dude, you need performances like last night or yesterday. That is such a tough ask to not only shift around. Where's the guy's confidence, and he's able to come out and just get it done, which is impressive. So I'm super happy for that dude. You've had Max Butenbach that's been out with an illness, and guys have stepped up, and Nebraska showed enough power. Good ball game. I mean, it was nip and tuck going into the ninth at 2-2, and Nebraska with the Sanderson bomb gets the walk-off. But you just love these type of ball games if you're Nebraska, being able to find a way, because moving forward, that's how you're going to have to live, Sharpie.
Yeah. I mean, just keep stacking wins, and you got to get into the Big Ten tournament. And when you get to the Big Ten tournament, who knows what can happen? I mean, they have enough guys on that roster that have had success in that stadium, and, you'll get the crowd behind you. But, the Big Ten at the top is a nice conference. So there's no easy path, but you have to, first and foremost, you have to get in. And then once you get in, you figure it out from there. And they're like a box of chocolates, man. You never know what you're going to get with this team.
I think you're going to go ahead.
The box on the outside looks really, really good. And you're like, oh man, I love chocolate. And you open it up and you're like, okay, which one should I select? And you might select a bad one and then throw that away. And then you select the other one. You're like, ooh, that's pretty good. And then you have another one. And then you have a really bad one. They're just, they're a confusing team that when the season is over, I think they'll have to make some decisions on, why this year went bad when they had so many expectations. Was it leadership, in uniform, or was it leadership in the dugout? What was going on? But make the tournament, and then you can go from there. And, you might be able to save your season a little bit.
Well, that's just it. Can they salvage what was supposed to be with their best baseball ahead of them? And can they flip it and say, all right, you kind of jacked around all season, but when it came down to it, you made a run to get to a regional or beyond. All right, but that may not deodorize what this regular season was supposed to be. And you're right, there's going to have to be some discussions and get that answer as to why. Why did it fall off from being a preseason top 25, top 2 or 3 team in this conference? And I don't know. I know that this team is resilient and they respond, but I also know that they don't come out on fire all the time. And you got to figure that out. It's a lot easier to set the tone than react.
But in terms of what have you done for me lately, that's been less of a concern for me, especially whenever they're playing Big Ten opposition that matters. Like the midweek, it's been a little bit more of a grab bag. And I think you can look at Friday nights and you can look at Walsh's performances there and say you don't know what you're going to get. But I think for the most part, in what have you done for me lately point of view, like this team is playing like a top 5 baseball team in the Big Ten. Like you look at, Iowa's playing great baseball.
They are.
Iowa's playing great baseball. UCLA's playing great baseball. Oregon's playing great baseball. Outside of that, like I could put Nebraska in 4th in terms of what have you done for me lately with this baseball team. The bats are going for the most part. The pitching staff has been working, except Will Walsh on Friday nights. Like I like what this team is putting together. They're playing their best baseball as of late, and I'm not sure their seed will reflect how good they're playing in the Big Ten tournament. But Nebraska will be that team that I don't think anyone wants to face if they are going in as a 7 seed. You'd rather face the 8 or the 6 because Nebraska's playing such good baseball.
I'm going to be honest with you. I always know what I'm going to get in a box of chocolates because I always put on the top of it until I find all the caramels, and then I take all the caramels, and everybody else knows what they're going to get too because I've already smashed them open. So that theory's out the window. I think you're going to see a lot of bullpen and pitch by committee games for Nebraska, maybe in Omaha. They're going to make it. This has been such a what might have been season for them. Ever since the series loss at Louisiana, they've stumbled across finish lines. They've gotten blown out. They've had bad losses. I'm trying to make a parallel or comparison if it's the same as Nebraska men's basketball, but Nebraska men's basketball was in a lot of the games that it lost. They just had some really bad plays in the final 30 or even the final 10 seconds of games that put them in the position that they were in. Now they ended up strong and got to the crown and won the crown. Didn't qualify for the Big Ten tournament. The baseball team, though, there have been times when it just has not been that competitive until the last 2 or 3 weeks, and then they lose to Creighton like they did again, at home, and come back and they beat Michigan in 2 games with their third walk-off win in 10 days. It's been exasperating with this team.
It has been a roller coaster for sure. And seems like against, some big dogs, they play well, and then they didn't get a chance to channel it. I just think of the midweek after the Oregon State weekend. Excuse me. I'm getting choked up here.
It's an emotional conversation, right? We understand.
They had a chance after that Oregon State weekend to take off. Didn't happen.
Right.
They've reassessed. I'd like to know the why. Why has it gone sideways too often?
They've had some big wins in non-conference games, until recently with what they've done in conference play. Vanderbilt way back in game 2 of the season. They had a thrilling win. They had a thrilling win over Kansas State when Swanson had the game winner at Haymarket Park.
Lawrence
win the series against Oregon State. They game a lot of games that they matter in the win-loss column, but when it comes to gaining any traction in Big Ten play, they've not been able to put that together. Losing the season series to Creighton it's been it's been a strange season, and who knows? You're right, Gary. They may be playing for a conference championship at a spot in the NCAA tournament. That's crazy.
I mean, it's and it's May. They know how to play in May. It's just the frustrating part is they could be playing in May where they're playing to lock up hosting. But I think most of us are over trying to pick apart why this season hasn't gone like it was expected, and just get to the Big Ten tournament and from there figure it out. And they could go into the Big Ten. They could go into the Big Ten tournament off a sweep of Michigan. And then next weekend they play Purdue, and like Elijah mentioned, they might be one of those seeds where you're like, "Damn, I don't know that I want to play them because they're playing their best baseball of the year."
Let's get our starting 5 shout outs here. How many outs will they run into on the base paths? It's a solid 1.5 per game.
I mean, that's embarrassing. That's been embarrassing all season long. What they've done to themselves. I mean. Tuesday night against Creighton is a prime example.
Yeah.
I should say just the latest example of where they've done it to themselves.
Uncle Larry is in as we get our starting 5 shout outs, 30 minutes in, forgive me. Justin is here. Walter, south of Philly. I saw this last night at Cranex Karaoke Festival. The Rockies got beat by 3 touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah, I got a text from a buddy in the 5th inning saying, "Hey, by any chance, have you seen what's going on in the Rockies game today?" And I looked it up, and dear God, I mean, it's right. Like, they're a terrible baseball team.
Clearly, the team hit the dispensary before infield.
I mean, there's a good chance that they don't win a series this year. And look at their upcoming schedule. It is a murderer's row through the end of May into June. Like, they might not get to 10 wins until the 4th of July. It's very possible. They're that bad.
I can't fathom that.
They're that bad. There's no reason for optimism.
There's no hope.
At least the ballpark's cool. And it's
the fans
good time.
Well, and that's the problem. Like, it's a great city. It's a great ballpark. I mean, what are we, 18 years ago, they were in the World Series when it was Rocktober. Yeah. And now, I mean, you're making jokes about them, with the White Sox. No one should be mentioned with the White Sox, but my God, put Bud Black out of his misery.
The Rockies this year are worse than the White Sox last year, and it's not close in my eyes. It's not close. This Rockies
the anti-play-in game, Colorado v. Chicago.
And they also happen to be in probably baseball's best division. So that doesn't help.
No.
Yeah. my thing yesterday. Did you guys see any highlights from the game? Did you see any of the home runs? Tatis's home run to make it like 19-0. The fans were still there up until the late innings, and they're chanting "Sell the team." And hey, they're not going to sell the team as long as you're showing up. It's as simple as that. You can chant away all you want, but Rockies fans keep showing up. That franchise remains profitable, and therefore they're not going to do anything about it because fans keep showing up. And now at this point in time, you have more visiting fans showing up than home fans. They're even putting the visiting team's merch in the team store, so you can go in and buy a Padres hat when the Padres are in town. But they're not going to sell the team because the team's still profitable, because it's a great place to go catch a ball game. It's a pretty economical place. I mean, tickets are cheap.
The party deck on right field.
That's where everybody goes.
4 or 5 years ago for one of Junior's baseball tournaments was incredible. It was
awesome.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And all the dispensaries do open their windows around game time, so you don't have to go in. It's a free buzz all night long.
How would you like to be the designated closer for the Rockies? Do you ever pitch?
I think it'd be a hell of a job. That's funny.
They'd find a way to get you out there at some point in time. Hey, we're down 21-0, but you need some innings.
Someone text me if you need me. I'm gonna be down at the old Coors factory. So Walter, thank you for that. Ryan is here. Happy Mother's Day from Virginia. Steven asks, will I survive Mother's Day? I think so. She's at work. So I'm good. Justin's here. Black Hills Brennan says, what's up? It's New Wedge Sunday. David says, morning, mothers. You have Vic checking in. Brian Snitley, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty, says Sunday sweep day. We talked to Charles. Charles, good to have you. Checking in as well. Braska Raska. Apparently got some seats through SeatGeek.
Oh, they're talking about the Kansas City game.
Okay, the Arrowhead.
Mm-hmm.
You have Brian checking in. So Justin suggests Roseanne Connor. Does Roseanne make your mama's list? She make a seating?
I don't know. Maybe not. I wouldn't put her in my bracket.
We should take her or Ellie Ewing.
Nice. Miss Ellie's a good call. Yeah, that's solid. How about Carmelo Soprano? Carmelo?
I think you got to play that game.
I would not draft Skylar White. She's my least favorite TV mom ever. I know she's like kind of a villain, but
does Daenerys from Game of Thrones count? She's a mother to dragons. Does that one does that count on a day like today?
Good call.
It's a little hardcore there.
Bill doesn't strike me as a Game of Thrones guy, to be fair.
No.
I wasn't either until you watch, and it's good. Beyond season 1 with the mother of all dragons. So 5 is 1. Got here late, but always say better late than never. Thank you for checking in. And Red Wine 65 is here. So that is good. Anyone? Okay. Wow.
Gonna let that one.
Charles.
I don't have to mention that one. I just had to put that one up on the stream.
Nice work. Brian says Cara Dutton from 1923. Very solid call. There.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. So as we wind it down, fellas, what do you think of Husker softball? Where do they end up? Do they go Oklahoma? Do they get A&M? Are they at Florida? Are they at Florida State? They're not going to be able to host. Nebraska 9-12 in quad ones, but really respectable season. Great year for Nebraska softball. Just not, host worthy. You've got a pretty stacked Big Ten as well, but they finished 3rd. You'll take it. Jordy Ball's awesome. We've highlighted that a ton. Can Nebraska do some damage in a regional against a Florida or Florida State, or against an A&M? And Oklahoma is working on 5 in a row here, aren't they?
Well, if the NCAA, they say the NCAA doesn't play storylines, and I don't believe that. So they've already played.
You know where they're going is what you're telling me tomorrow.
Yeah, they've already played the Nebraska Texas A&M storyline at the NCAA basketball tournament a couple of years ago when Trev left. So I don't think they're going to go back to that playbook. But wouldn't the NCAA love to put Jordy Ball in a regional against Oklahoma and send her to go play the Sooners, who are really pissed off right now because the SEC canceled the SEC championship game. Inclement weather, did not have a renewal date or a play date. So so Texas A&M and Oklahoma share the conference championship. But I could see the NCAA sending Jordy Ball and Nebraska to play Oklahoma in a regional.
On one hand, that's scary, but on the other hand, any game that Nebraska softball plays in where Jordy Ball is in the circle, I like their chances to win. Yeah. It's as simple as that. I don't care who the opponent is. I know that it's been rough in quad one. They're going to have a chance to win any game that Jordy Ball is in the pitcher's circle. So wherever they go, you know what? If Jordy's in the circle, I have some belief that they can go and get it done. That's how I feel.
I think they send Nebraska to Austin as a 2 seed. And I'll give you a storyline. So Omaha is back in the tournament for the 3rd straight year. Omaha to College Station, where the athletic director at Texas A&M hired the softball coach who in 4 years has made the tournament 3 times.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Mike Hurd is when Rhonda retires, and it's probably when Jordy's career is done, Rhonda will retire. The first call should be to Mike Hurd.
Okay.
He's an Omaha guy. His brother is a softball coach at Gretna, won a state championship in basketball at Ralston. Mike is really, really good. Omaha, Trev made a really, really good hire, and Omaha has been fortunate enough because there have been other Power 4 schools that have come after him, and he has said no. So I think he's I would make him the next Nebraska coach when that time comes. But it would be, I think anytime you have Jordy Ball, you got a chance, to run through a regional.
But do they have pitching depth behind her? That's the question.
Yeah. You probably can't get into the losers bracket. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Where you need to use your number 2.
Nebraska's offense, how tell me this, and I know the SEC's loaded in softball. Big Ten's really strong as well, but Nebraska's offense, how do you think it can cope in regional play against some other tough teams?
Well, they clearly have had great offense with all the home runs they've hit this year, and Ball's been spectacular at the plate too. So I think they can match power for power with any team in the country. It's, do they have the depth at pitching? I think that's the biggest question mark for Nebraska going into postseason play.
Well, in a regional though, you're going USSSA coaching that U12 tournament where Sun's pitching, hey, bud, you're going to throw a complete game on a Friday. We're going to turn it on Sunday, throw another 70 pitches. Like, you're throwing 300 pitches this weekend because we need you in this U-Trip tournament. Like, that's what you do for Nebraska softball. Like, anytime Jordy says, I can pitch a couple, you just send her out there until she can't throw anymore.
Right, exactly. But she's also needed at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
They need her. They need her for everything. And in a regional situation like that, that's asking an awful lot for her to carry them both in the circle and at the plate. Maybe she can do that, and I'd love to see it. She's been fantastic for Nebraska softball, Nebraska athletics, and overall.
Oh, she's. I mean, what she accomplished the other day from the Big Ten. I mean, she's Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
She was the player of the year, the pitcher of the year. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive to get those honors. And it's almost like, oh yeah, we expected her to get that. And you could say that and be sarcastic, but she's that good. Like there's a lot of times where an athlete will come to Nebraska and there's so many expectations that maybe sometimes they're unrealistic. I think all the expectations we had of Jordy Ball have been met. And she's still got an extra year.
Mm-hmm.
She's absolutely delivered, which is just incredible. And it's something that you hope you can put a run together this year with Nebraska softball, and then with your point about her getting the extra year, can you stack on it and then get back to Oklahoma City? because I know it was 20 plus years ago, and then 2013. And the Big 12 was a pretty stingy conference. It was tough to get through and get to the Women's College World Series. And then you make the jump to the Big 10. I mean, Ohio State and Northwestern have been pretty good in the softball realms for a while. Same with Wisconsin. Nebraska's Michigan's been big time. And
yeah.
So add them in.
That's what's been impressive. What's even more impressive about her getting that award this year, as good as Michigan and Northwestern have been in the past, the Big Ten added Oregon, UCLA, Washington, USC, and the first three have had some really good teams, right? Mm-hmm. UCLA, Oregon, Washington. So for them to come in the league and for her to get those double honors is even more impressive. To have done it maybe in the old Big Ten, that's probably doable, even though it's never been done before. But to think that she did it with those three teams coming into the league makes it all the more impressive.
Fellas, what's on the horizon? What you got coming up this week? I know it's May. We have plenty of baseball to chew on and softball as well. We're not too far away from Husker summer camping season, with a number of the visits and a number of the evaluations going on for Big Red football.
And we could get kick times.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's this week, isn't it?
Kick. I'm hearing maybe towards the end of the week, but maybe some trickling out next week as well.
Okay. Love it. So
the realtors that do the magnet schedules will be very, very happy.
Are we all betting on Friday night in Pasadena?
It would make sense.
They did it for Nebraska, for Iowa, last year. So,
well, but you got the Friday night game last year. You're going to get one every single year is my question. Or are they going to say, we'll go every other year? I know they're trying to fill up that slot, and Nebraska is a helmet team that you can get some eyeballs to a Friday night, but would they make Nebraska play Friday night back-to-back years? We'll see about that. I'm not 100% convinced they will, but if there is any game where they do it, that UCLA game makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'll do it on the road. I think that's the thing. Yep. You're not going to do back-to-back home games, or on a Friday night. So, and why not Nebraska and Los Angeles? You will get a lot of people in red to go to that game, and my guess is there'll probably be more Nebraska fans there than UCLA fans on a Friday night. UCLA fans either A, don't care, or B, they'll be at work and they'll be stuck in traffic. Nebraska fans will make a day of it and would pack the place and will pay whatever they got to pay to get there. So for Nebraska, if they got to play Friday night in Los Angeles, I think that's probably a good thing.
Hey, one final thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good. You're good.
One final thing before we get out of here, because I think now that we're really full into off season, there'll be a lot more lists, and we'll figure out what happened to Big Game Boomer, where he went. Did he disappear? I haven't seen a Big Game Boomer list. Who's the fourth best team in the Big Ten coming into this year?
Probably Illinois.
So you've got Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon.
I look at Illinois.
You go Michigan over Illinois?
I can't with we don't know what we're going to get from a true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood.
Finally lost all their lines of scrimmage the last two drafts as well. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Flyer, you know what you're going to get. Illinois returns a lot. I think I'd probably, in a preseason power rankings point of view, I would put Illinois in that fourth spot.
I'd agree with that.
You buy Indiana stock?
What did they lose? They lost, Rourke, their quarterback.
20
that's
guys.
A big thing. 20 guys are gone, and he can't bring in another transfer class with him. They'll probably have some momentum, but they can't have the same kind of magical season they had last year. The schedule's going to be a little bit tougher. I wonder with Michigan, with whatever's going on with Sharon Moore and a 2-game suspension, which probably isn't that big of a deal. They have threats of further punitive ramifications being put on them maybe by the NCAA for whatever that's going to mean. But I think you're going to find this year what the fruits of Sharon Moore's work has been after Jim Harbaugh. I think last year he was still playing with Harbaugh's players and Harbaugh's money, and now that's gone. So I think the question is out on leadership at Michigan as well as at the quarterback position. So I'm with Elijah. I'd put Illinois in there, and I put Illinois ahead of Nebraska simply for the fact that Altmaier's been around and they got the better of Nebraska and Lincoln last season. So I don't think Nebraska's far from 4, but I probably put them at 5 or 6.
What about SC? What about Iowa?
Iowa's the team I was going to go for. They got the transfer quarterback from South Dakota State, Gronowski, who by all accounts has been the best quarterback they've had around there in a while.
I liked Sullivan before he got hurt last year. I know
the Iowa fans didn't.
Well, but he was mobile and he made plays.
If it tells you anything, he was a good quarterback and he hit the portal because he saw the writing on the wall. Gronowski's better than him. So I think they are a wild card team because their offense is still going to be an Iowa offense. It's going to be risk averse. They're not going to be the team that's putting up 30+ points a game. But if they have some complementary football, which we haven't seen in a while from Iowa, complementary football makes Iowa a scary football team, and they could be a riser based on what they get from their offense. But they also lost Caleb Johnson. They lost some talent on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know, but they could be a team that if by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if they're that 4th best team in the Big Ten.
USC needs to be the 4th best team with all the talent, the investment, skill guys. I mean, they need to figure it out and be someone that's part of that play-in discussion. Think of the branding you have, back to the original part of this conversation on our Sunday Live, the 2 play-ins. Think if you're getting a Saturday in December where it's Nebraska SC, it's Iowa v. Illinois or Michigan. I mean, the top 6 in the Big Ten. You have Washington that's still out there. Man, it's pretty awesome with the showcase. You don't know who's going to rise and fall and who's going to stay and maintain in power. We think we do.
Do you guys have like I said, Iowa's a wild card to be in that top 5. Do you have an overall wild card team in the Big Ten this year that they could go 9-3 and it wouldn't surprise you, but they could also go 3-9? It wouldn't surprise you.
Ooh, I was going to say Nebraska until you said 3-9.
Yeah.
If Nebraska goes 3-9, they've lost half their roster. Well, there would be something major happen. I think Nebraska fits the role of a wild card team that you could say from 6-6 to 9-3.
Sure.
And see, I look at, I know we'll as we move closer towards the season and do off-season stuff, we'll talk about importance of schedule. I think the road schedule, the road schedule is the difference between a 6-win team and a 9-win team. You know, you got Maryland, Minnesota, Penn State, and UCLA. I mean, there's 3 wins in there.
Getting choked up just thinking about it. It's beautiful.
Well,
it's
that emotional trip to College Park is,
Minnesota's that team. Minnesota's a squad that's a pain in the neck. Always. How
about you? They were a wild card.
I think Washington.
We all got different. I love it.
They beat USC last year. They beat UCLA on the road last year. Iowa and Nebraska didn't do that. And then they got screwed against Michigan on the onside stuff.
I mean, I think this is so. I think you could make a case. There's 5 teams that could be the 4th or 5th best team in the Big Ten this upcoming year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and if you're that 4th team, if you get to 9 wins, you're in a conversation. That's why, look at Nebraska. Everybody's using the Indiana model from last year and like going, oh, hey, do we have an Indiana type schedule where if we win 9 or 10 games, they're going to go, I think it all comes down to you've got to beat every team that is in your tier and below. And then you've got to find a way to win 2 or 3 games in those tiers that are above you. If you think like Nebraska's in the 3rd tier and Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon are in tier 1 and, maybe, or they split 2 tiers, whatever.
You got to go 2-1 against Michigan, Penn State, and Iowa. Got to go 2-1 there. In Cincinnati, I think will be a team that, man, they just kind of blew apart to finish last year. They beat Arizona State. They were 5-2. They've got a lot coming back. So if they stay healthy, Cincinnati, Nebraska gets it handled in Arrowhead. That'll be that'll be a underrated win early in the season.
Hey, how is Wisconsin no longer perennially in the conversation amongst the best teams in the Big Ten?
They ripped up their foundation.
Yeah,
And
their schedule's a bitch.
I know, but I asked it
They got
somewhat
Bama, don't they?
But I ask it somewhat rhetorically. It used to not matter what their schedule was, right? It was they had the big offensive line, they had the running back, they had a decent passing game and decent receivers and all that. But as we're talking about teams that, okay, they're top 4, it used to be just kind of a given before this thing expanded to 18, and it really shouldn't have mattered that Wisconsin was in the conversation to be there. Probably not Ohio State, but Michigan, and certainly better than Iowa, certainly better than Illinois, better than Wisconsin. But Wisconsin's not even in the, I said Minnesota, is not even in the conversation or top of the mind when it comes to the best programs in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, he needs. I think Luke Fickell's a good coach with what he did at Ohio State and clearly at Cincinnati to get to a playoff. But it looks like you picked wrong with
both sides. Wisconsin did, and he did.
No, I know. I mean, I need to get out. He could still be with Cincinnati moving to the Big 12. He could be a playoff team. He could be rolling to playoffs now.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped too soon.
Is it fair to say that Luke Fickell, number 1 hot seat coach in the Big Ten as it stands right now? I don't think he makes it through the season. I know he just got that extension. That's kind of like they do that at Wisconsin. They give you that 1-year extension kind of universally. But I don't think there's any coach whose seat is hotter right now in the Big Ten than Luke Fickell, because you look at
I think Sharon Moores is blazing right now.
I think he's a fall guy. I think he was hired to be the fall guy.
Yep. That's the better way to put it.
I mean, I think if Wisconsin gets to 6 wins, it's a hell of a job.
Wow.
Of what they've done.
Do we think they even get to 6? That schedule is brutality.
I know it's one of the more difficult schedules that you've ever played in the Big Ten. But what about so back to this discussion about hot seat? What about Lincoln Riley?
Is Hollywood going to hand out $90 million?
I don't know. I mean, they are they're the number one recruiting class. They have the number 1 recruiting class in 26. But at some point, you have to get your return on investment on the field. You know, they've had their year of adjusting to the Big Ten. Now they've got their quarterback. They ran off 1 quarterback to keep Maeva.
They did also beat LSU last year to start the year. I know, as much as they flamed out this season, they still had their moments. I mean, there's talent there. There's just not elite. They're not like Rose Bowl good USC or Pac-12, Pac-10 champion good.
See, now
they need to be.
Yeah. Now I think they're going to be okay this year.
Yeah, I think
they're going to be fine this year, and I think they'll be gunning for that 4th best team in the Big Ten.
Well, that's gonna be a hell of a game in November, isn't it?
That'll be a key game for him.
I think minimum Nebraska has to go 2-2 in November.
Fair. Yeah, you need that to happen. It's Gary Sharp, Bill Doleman, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt, the Average Joe Sports Show, Sunday live. Like and subscribe on YouTube to the Average Joe Sports Show, AJ Sports Radio on Twitter, and find us on Spotify and iTunes. Catch Gary Monday through Friday on Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone, 6 to 10 a.m. We'll be back on the Average Joe Sports Show across the Average Joe Network. Flagship in Lincoln with KFOR, 4 to 6 tomorrow afternoon. Parting thoughts, parting shots, or time to go take shots?
I like that.
Depends. I'm producing a Salt Dogs game this afternoon. They're 0-2 to start the year. They need a salvage against Kansas City on a Sunday, so we'll see. The shots might be coming if that game goes poorly. If not, we'll be good. The Nuggets play at 2:30, so that can always save the day. I feel good about my Nuggets right now. It's going to be a fun series. It's a
tea time, 3 o'clock with Junior.
Feeling good about the Golden Knights scoring a goal with 0.4 of a second left to remain alive in the Stanley Cup playoffs and get a little momentum going into Game 4 against Edmonton tomorrow night. But I will be mired in grading, so lots of F-bombs soon and lots of shots later. Yes.
Bill Doleman going Walter White. F. Not even close.
I will be hanging with all the moms I've loved before.
Sharpie. We don't get it. We don't get it. You're welcome. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care. We'll talk to you next time with the Average Joe Sports Show.